Some videos start off normal until they take a terrifying turn. Creepy sightings, scary encounters, and what happens next is downright disturbing. These real-life recordings captured moments so chilling, they left viewers shocked and unsettled. Once you see them, you will never forget them. Some videos don't just go viral, they haunt people. This one left viewers questioning reality. A dimly lit room, a figure standing with their back turned. At first, nothing seemed off until the shape of their skull came into focus. Too smooth, too elongated. Then, their neck twisted unnaturally, stretching as if it had no bones. Their head snapped toward the camera, revealing hollow black eyes. Possession? A djinn? No one agreed on the truth. As for the person who filmed it, they disappeared. The video still lingers online, disturbing anyone who dares to watch. Last warning.
I'm plastic.
A man endured the most terrifying night of his life when a strange woman entered his room. She looked human, but something about her movements felt wrong, like a marionette held by unseen strings. She didn't do anything but just spoke, a warning, whispered in a voice that didn't belong to this world.
I'm plastic. I don't even have a voice box.
Then the video cut out. That was the last time anyone saw him. Locals found the footage before it mysteriously disappeared. His family recovered it later, the only clue to his fate. Did the entity take him somewhere beyond the living? The video remains, but he is gone.
Don't turn on the light.
Possessed sleeper. A bedroom camera caught something beyond explanation. A girl was sleeping peacefully when, out of nowhere, she sat up. Her face twisted, her eyes glowed, and an eerie grin stretched across her lips. It was as if something had taken over her body. Then, just as suddenly, she lay back down, as if nothing had happened. People say spirits take control when a person is at their most vulnerable. If that's true, was she ever truly alone in that room? Knocking doll.
What? What's wrong with you?
A woman felt something watching her from outside. When she glanced through the glass door, her stomach dropped. A doll-like figure stood motionless, staring right at her. Its lips moved. It was speaking, asking to be let in. Before she could react, it started pounding on the glass, harder and harder. Heart racing, she ran, locking herself in her room. That night, strange noises echoed through the house. Whispers, tapping, something moving just outside. But when morning came, there was nothing there. Whatever had tried to enter wasn't just a doll, and no one in the house ever dared to check the door again. Twisting figure. Crowded streets, flashing lights, just another night in the city. But then, a visitor spotted something unsettling. A tall, thin figure stood beneath a street lamp, its elongated neck twisting in slow, unnatural movements. Its hands traced eerie patterns in the air, almost like a ritual. People walked past, oblivious, as if they couldn't see it. The visitor's breath hitched. He wasn't supposed to see it either. Later, reports surfaced. Different places, different people, the same figure. If it was real, it wasn't staying in one place. And if it wasn't, then why did so many keep seeing it? Cabin in Red. Deep in the woods where silence and shadows stretched endlessly, a hiker stumbled upon something he was never meant to see. A wooden fence surrounded a small hut, and inside, someone sat motionless at a table, dressed in red. Its face was disturbingly doll-like, frozen in an unnatural stillness. His instincts screamed at him to leave. As he slowly backed away, a second figure rushed toward him. The video cut off. No one knows what happened next, but one thing was clear. This wasn't just an abandoned cabin. Something was waiting in those woods, and he had walked right into it. Unseen playmate.
Get up here, Carly!
A family spent the afternoon in their garden, their laughter filling the air. But something felt off. Their daughter, standing to the side, whispered softly, as if responding to someone. Her father's brow furrowed. Who was she talking to? He called her over, and she ran to him smiling. But when he checked the spot, his stomach twisted. The plants rustled, yet the air was completely still. For just a second, he saw something. Long hands, a face covered in thick hair, watching. Some say children can see things adults can't. If that's true, then what had been speaking to his daughter?
What the hell was that?
House that watched.
Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah.
Ghosts were expected in the abandoned house, but what the explorer found was much worse. As he moved through the decayed halls, something stirred behind the wall. He crept closer, his camera shaking. Then, from the darkness, something emerged. Large black eyes, reddish skin. Not human. Some believe places left untouched for too long attract beings that don't belong in our world. The explorer wasted no time. He turned and ran, hoping it wasn't following. No one knows what happened after that. The footage ends abruptly, leaving only one terrifying question. Did he make it out?
Allahu Akbar.
Shifting doll. At midnight, a homeowner set up a camera to capture the strange activity in his TV lounge. His eyes landed on a small doll sitting perfectly still on the sofa, but when he glanced at it through the left side of a lamp, his stomach dropped. The doll had changed. Now a towering, shadowy figure with a sinister grin. His pulse raced. He looked to the right. The doll was still in its place, but when he turned back, it was right in front of him, motionless, watching. It wasn't just a toy. Something else was inside it, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Stretching woman. A kitchen security camera captured something that still haunts the family involved. A mother stood at the counter, preparing food, until her arms started stretching. They grew longer, unnaturally thin, reaching all the way to the floor. Her body didn't move, but something about her felt wrong. Frozen in horror, her family watched as her limbs twisted into something inhuman. Was this a shapeshifter? A possession? They didn't wait to find out. A priest was called immediately, but the real fear lingered. What if whatever had taken hold of her wasn't gone, just waiting to return? The smiling woman. A man took a nighttime stroll down a quiet footpath when he spotted a woman standing motionless ahead. At first, nothing seemed unusual until he got closer. Her face was unnervingly pale, her grin stretched too wide, her eyes locked onto him without blinking. A chill ran down his spine. He hurried past, resisting the urge to look back. That smile felt unnatural, almost predatory. Whatever she was, something told him he had been lucky to escape without a word. Some encounters are better left unexplored. Rooftop watchers. Strange things happen at night, but what this security camera captured was beyond disturbing. Perched on the roof, multiple pale figures crouched, unmoving. Their thin, unsettling bodies seemed headless, their limbs barely visible in the grainy footage. Then, as if sensing they were being watched, they began hopping off the roof one by one. Their movements were wrong, too fast, too unnatural. The footage spread online, sparking comparisons to skinwalkers. But the real horror? The homeowner hadn't checked the footage until days later. By then, those figures could have already been inside. Morgue awakening. A Russian morgue CCTV captured footage that sent chills through everyone who saw it. The room was still, a body lying motionless beneath a white sheet. Then, without warning, a hand emerged, gripping the cloth. Slowly, the figure sat up, pulling the sheet away from its face. After a brief pause, it climbed off the bed and walked away. Impossible, until the truth came out. The man suffered from catalepsy, a rare condition that slowed his heartbeat to an undetectable level, making him appear lifeless. Though science explains it, those who witnessed it weren't prepared to see someone rise from the dead. Open door. A strange recording spread chills across the internet. A man noticed something outside his front door. A pale, human-like shadow frozen beyond the glass. Before he could process what he was seeing, it vanished. Then, without warning, the door creaked open. No one stood there, but fresh footprints stained the floor. That house had a history long ago. Someone had taken their final breath in the living room. Some say the spirit still lingers, only revealing itself on stormy nights. The man didn't wait to find out. His hand shook as he dialed for a priest. Treehouse lurker. Deep in the woods, an explorer found something worse than Bigfoot. A decaying treehouse sat hidden among the trees, and inside, something skeletal and pale crouched in the shadows. Tangled hair covered its face until it moved. Crawling forward in an unnatural way, it lifted its hands and made a strange motion. The explorer collapsed instantly, paralyzed. The video cut off before revealing what happened next. Days later, whispers spread. It wasn't human. It was a swang, a shapeshifter that lures its prey. What it became after that is something no one will ever know.
Huh?
Twisted girl. A quiet drive through empty roads can feel eerie, but for one local, it became something far worse. Up ahead, a girl stood on the roadside, unmoving, her long hair covering most of her face. At first, she looked like someone who needed help, but as he got closer, the shape of her body looked wrong. Limbs bent unnaturally, her joints seemed out of place, yet she stood perfectly still. Then, her head snapped upward, eyes too wide, her expression frozen in an unsettling smile. Before he could react, she moved. Not walking, but moved so fast, it didn't seem human. The last seconds of his dashcam footage showed her inches from his car window before the video cut to black. Cursed caverns. A lone villager strayed too far from familiar paths and found himself in a place that shouldn't have existed. Strange cave-like houses lined the area, their entrances gaping like open mouths. Odd plants twisted in unnatural shapes, their purpose unclear but deeply unsettling. Then, movement. A dark figure swayed within the shadows, watching. Without warning, the entrance to one of the caves flared up in eerie flames, casting flickering light on the grotesque scene. The villager didn't wait to find out what it meant. He turned and ran, never speaking of what he had seen. Whatever lurked in that forgotten place wasn't meant for human eyes.
Bismillah! Bismillah.
Doll's secret. A father was searching for his daughter when he found her sitting silently in a room. Behind her, someone was carefully braiding her hair. He assumed it was a relative until he stepped closer. The hands vanished. No one else was there. Just his daughter, and a doll staring from the cupboard. It had always felt off, like something that moved when no one was looking. The family had caught their daughter whispering to someone before, but every time they checked, nothing. That night, the father locked the doll away. By morning, it was sitting right beside her. Ghostly rider. A man walked alone past midnight, his footsteps echoing in the silence. Surveillance footage captured his final moments, casual, unaware. Then a motorcycle sped toward him, its headlights slicing through the darkness. But the instant it reached him, both he and the bike vanished. Nothing remained except a faint blur on the road. Locals whispered of an old tragedy, an accident that had happened right there decades ago. Some say it replays itself, a warning to those who dare walk the same path. Watching eye. Nightmares end when you wake up, unless they follow you. A student lay in bed when a shadow slithered across his wall. His breath hitched. Slowly, he reached for his flashlight. The door creaked open, then slammed shut, then opened again. That's when he saw it. A towering figure with a single glowing eye. A low, guttural sound filled the room, freezing him in place. He tried to move, tried to scream, but the video cut off before anyone could see what happened next. That night, something else was in the room with him, and it never left. Temple's Curse. Legends warned people to stay away from the old temple, but one man didn't listen. As he walked past, a shadow crossed his path. At first, he ignored it. Then it moved following him, shifting in ways no shadow should. The air thickened, pressing down on him, making it harder to breathe. His foot had disturbed something near the temple's entrance, something ancient that wasn't meant to be freed. He didn't look back. He knew the truth once something is released. It doesn't go back willingly, and some things never stop following. Shifting eyes. A traveler admired an ancient monument, marveling at the detailed statue of a man, but something felt wrong. The longer he stared, the more certain he became. The eyes had shifted. His skin crawled. He wasn't alone. A woman stood nearby, her lips stretched into a frozen smile. Her gaze locked on him, too wide, too still. He reached for his camera, desperate for proof, but the moment he turned back, they were gone. The statue, the woman, just gone. But the feeling of being watched, that stayed lingering like a whisper in the dark. Caged thing.
They got this really weird creature caged up.
A YouTuber's latest upload went viral for reasons no one expected. Filmed at a zoo in Romania, the footage captured something disturbing. An emaciated humanoid figure in a cage. Its black, hollow eyes locked onto the camera. It didn't move like a person. It didn't sound like an animal. It clawed at the bars, struggling against something unseen. Then, without warning, the video cut to black. Days later, authorities shut the zoo down. Some say the creature was removed. Others claim it was never found. But the real question is, was it ever truly inside? Ceiling watcher.
What is that?
The office buzzed with routine chatter when a worker happened to glance up. A small gap in the ceiling tiles caught her eye. As she focused, something peered back. A pale, skeletal face with hollow, sunken eyes staring straight at her. Her breath caught. Skeletons belong in graves, not hiding in office ceilings. She reported it immediately, but when security checked the CCTV, nothing. No movement. No face. The gap remained empty. Yet, she knew what she had seen. And even without proof, the unease lingered, because some things don't need to be seen to still be there.
I go over here.
Unseen tenant. A quiet evening turned unsettling when a woman stepped into her washroom. Out of the corner of her eye, something moved. Above the washing tub, a shadow loomed behind a cloth. Heart pounding, she yanked it down. Nothing, just empty space. But this wasn't the first time. Days earlier, she had turned off the sink tap, only to see a ghostly face appear beside her in the mirror. Desperate for answers, she dug into the house's history. What she found chilled her to the bone. The last family had fled without warning, haunted by the same apparitions. She wasn't just imagining things. Something was still there. Graveyard grip. A group of boys messing around in a graveyard got more than they bargained for. One of them lay down in an open grave to record a video when, without warning, something yanked his shirt hard, but there was no one there. He bolted upright, his face pale. It felt as if something unseen had reached up from the dirt, unwilling to let him go. The others stood frozen, the air around them heavy, not taking any chances. They ran, but long after they left, the boy couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed him, something that still lingered unseen. Street Shadow Mystery. A street camera captured footage that defied explanation. A man walked down the road like any normal passerby, but then mid-step, his body transformed, then got distorted, and turned into a shadow. 1 second he was there, the next he wasn't. Was he a spirit caught on camera? A shapeshifter exposed for just a moment? Locals were shaken, and before long, the street was labeled haunted. Few dared to walk it after dark. The footage remains a terrifying mystery that still haunts those who've seen it. No explanation, no answers, just a shadow where a man once stood. Shadow figure. A chilling video from March 2009 has been making its rounds online. Filmed in Northumberland, England, the footage shows something emerging from behind a bush. A dark figure, barely solid, moving in broad daylight. Some believe it was an alien, while others insist it was a shadow person. But how could a shadow be visible in the middle of the day? When the video was enhanced, the figure appeared almost mist-like, as if it wasn't fully there. Whatever it was, the sighting remains unexplained, and to this day, no one has been able to prove if it was real or something far worse. Vanishing cloth. A father and son sat in their living room when something appeared before them, a figure draped in white. At first, they laughed, assuming it was a prank, but when the father pulled the cloth away, their smiles vanished. No one was there. The empty space before them sent chills down their spines. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating. Without a word, they bolted from the room, their minds struggling to make sense of what they'd just seen. No footsteps, no exit, just an empty sheet, and the terrifying realization that something had been standing there unseen. Mysterious hitchhiker.
Salta, pequeño. Salta, pequeño.
A video surfaced online, grabbing everyone's attention. It showed a hiker crossing a water channel, carefully balancing a wooden log. But what really stood out was what clung to the log. A small, eerie creature with wild hair, dressed like a tiny human. It looked like something out of a folklore tale, a goblin or a dwarf. The hiker seemed to be helping it, but before anything more could be seen, the footage cut off. What happened next? No one knows. Maybe the hiker was saving it, or maybe he had just fallen into a trap. Vanishing figure. At 5:30 a.m., a man was locking up his room before heading to work when something caught his eye. A dark figure darted across the hallway, silent, fast, almost blending into the dim light. He barely registered it at first, lost in his routine. But when he turned back, the hallway was empty. The thing had vanished. Whatever it wasn't human. Some places hold things beyond explanation, and this building might have been one of them. Swing apparition. Nightfall brought a strange calm, until a family spotted their daughter outside. She sat quietly on a tree swing, but something was wrong. She wasn't holding the ropes. Two pale hands gripped them from behind. The moment her parents called out, she jumped down. The hands vanished. The air turned thick, heavy with something unseen. Locals had whispered about spirits in the trees, but that night, the family saw it for themselves. Without hesitation, they packed up and left, never looking back. That old tree had always been rumored to be haunted. Now, they knew for sure. Vanishing Jinn. In the dead of night, a group of Arabs encountered something they were never meant to see. A pitch black figure stood before them, humanoid, yet utterly unnatural. They tried to restrain it, muttering incantations in a desperate attempt to keep it bound. But such beings don't obey human hands. Without a sound, it vanished. Some believe it escaped, while others fear those men were taken with it. No bodies were ever found. The only thing left behind was a whisper in the wind, repeating one word: Jinn. Forest watchers. The forest was quiet, too quiet. A villager, out for a routine walk, felt an eerie presence creeping up his spine. That's when he saw them, two pale figures peering from behind the trees. Their elongated ears twitched, their hollow eyes faintly glowing in the dim light. His chest tightened. Before he could blink, they melted into the shadows, vanishing as if they had never been there. He stood frozen, unsure if he had seen something real or something that had been waiting to be noticed. That night, he locked his doors, but somehow, the feeling of unseen eyes never left. Haunted Jim. Police responded to a call unlike any they'd ever received. At a public park, a fitness machine moved on its own, slow, steady repetitions, as if someone invisible was working out. The officers recorded it, baffled by the sight. No wind, no tricks, just pure, eerie movement. Then came the chilling detail. The park had been built over an old graveyard. The bodies had been moved, but had the spirits stayed behind? Authorities soon shut the park down. Whether it was a malfunction or something supernatural, one thing was certain. No one wanted to be the next one to see it move. Hole in the wall. Waking up to a missing chunk of your wall is strange enough, but for one man, that was just the beginning. He stepped closer, expecting to see his neighbor's unit or the building's framework. Instead, he found something that shouldn't have existed. An enormous, hidden space stretching far beyond the walls of his room. It was quiet, unsettling, like a place that had been sealed away for a reason. Then, movement. A towering, shadowy figure lurked beside one of the walls, standing unnervingly still, watching. Every instinct screamed for him to leave. He grabbed his belongings and got out immediately. But even after leaving, he couldn't shake the feeling that something from inside that hidden space had already noticed him. Manhole horror. Exploring abandoned places comes with risks, but nothing could have prepared a group of boys for what they found. Deep inside an old, crumbling house, they stumbled upon a steel manhole with strange, almost ritualistic markings. Curiosity got the better of them. They pried it open, expecting old pipes, maybe even a hidden passage. Instead, a pale, grotesque face shot up from the darkness below, accompanied by a sickening, gurgling noise. Their hands fumbled as they slammed the cover shut, hearts racing. Shadow transfer. Surveillance cameras have caught plenty of strange things, but this one was different. A man walked past an office building late at night, his steps casual, unaware. Then, a dark shape emerged, moving unnaturally fast, slipping into his body like smoke. He kept walking, never hesitating, never reacting. It happened so quickly that some dismissed it as a glitch, but others saw something chilling. It looked like a spirit, not just passing through, but taking control. If that was the case, the real question was, who was in control of that body now? Living doll. Videos of haunted dolls are nothing new, but this one sent shivers down viewers' spines. The footage showed a girl standing perfectly still, her large, glassy eyes and frozen smile, making her look more like a porcelain figure than a person. But the worst part, she wasn't alone. More figures just like her stood beside her, all identical, all lifeless, except for their eyes. They seemed to follow the camera, aware in a way no doll should be. Some claimed it was a possessed girl, others believed it was something worse. No one could trace the origin of the footage, and maybe that was for the best. Cursed doll. A man had seen enough strange things in his life, but this one sent chills down his spine. In the corner of the room stood a doll, eerily lifelike, its face covered with a delicate cloth. He turned away for just a moment, then froze. The cloth was shifting, as if unseen fingers were peeling it away. Slowly, deliberately. No one else was in the room. The doll's face was now exposed, its expression disturbingly neutral, too perfect, too aware. The air felt heavier, charged with something unnatural. Some say spirits get trapped in objects, unable to move on. If that was true, then this doll wasn't just a toy. It was something waiting, something watching. Morgue horror. A morgue worker thought he had seen it all until that night. A dimly lit room, a still body on the table, routine. But then, a twitch. At first, just a small movement, barely noticeable. Then, a sudden jerk, arms shifting in a way they shouldn't. The body sat up. No breath, no heartbeat, just unnatural movement. Panic set in. This wasn't a mistake. This was something else. Some say spirits can return for unfinished business. Others whisper about darker forces. The worker refused to stay a second longer, and he admitted something even worse. This wasn't the first time he'd seen it happen. Vanishing shadow. A tourist thought his eyes were playing tricks on him until the shadow moved. Sitting on his hotel room sofa was a dark, human-like figure, still and silent. He barely had time to react before it stood up in one swift motion and disappeared. Not into another room, not out the door. It simply ceased to exist. Shadow figures are seen in flashes, lurking in corners, watching from mirrors. Some say they bring misfortune. Others think they're guardians. But one thing was certain, whatever had been in that room wasn't human, and it had been aware of him. Subscriber's pick. A villager was walking home when he noticed someone lurking behind a wall. A girl. But something was wrong. Her face was twisted, her lifeless black eyes locked onto him like she was seeing straight through his soul. Her fingers moved in slow, eerie motions, like she was casting a spell. The villager felt his body tense, a deep, primal fear gripping him. He took a step back. She didn't move, just stared. The air around her felt wrong, heavy. Then, without hesitation, he turned and ran, his heart pounding. He didn't dare look back, but the feeling of being watched never left. Even in the safety of his home, he couldn't shake the fear that she was still there, somewhere in the dark, waiting.